is for priceless, the look upon your faces. E is for extinction, all your puny races. R for revolution, which will be televised. F is for how fucked you are, allow me to reprise. E is for eccentric, just listen to my song. C is for completion, that I've waited for so long.
T is for the terror upon you I'll bestow. My name is Perfect Cell, and I'd like to say, hello.
Perfection is such a fantastic concept. It really is, because honestly, nothing is perfect. So, almost without exception, when the word perfect is actually used, it is an exaggeration of some kind. When someone tells their girlfriend, you're perfect, they lying, okay? They lying. You ain't perfect. All right, you're great. Don't get me wrong. He loves you, okay? But you're not perfect. So, one of my favorite themes in a lot of pieces of fiction in general is this concept of perfection, this impossible to obtain, completely elusive status that people chase for so long, and then they claim they got it, but they don't got it. And while I want to primarily be talking about Perfect Cell in this video, I much more wanted to focus on this concept because every time I hear about perfection, the best example of perfection ever is a little speech given by Mayuri Kurotsuchi from Bleach, to the point that every time I hear the word perfect, I remember it because he's just so right.
The perfect being, you said? Well, I have to tell you the honest truth as I see it. In this world, nothing perfect exists. It may be a cliché after all, but it's the way things are. That's precisely why ordinary men pursue the concept of perfection. It's infatuation. But ultimately, I have to ask myself, what is the true meaning of being perfect? And the answer I came up with was nothing. Not one thing. The truth of the matter is, I despise perfection. If something is truly perfect, that's it. The bottom line becomes, there is no room for imagination. No space for intelligence, or ability, or improvement. Do you understand? To men of science like us, perfection is a dead end, a condition of hopelessness. Always strive to be better than anything that came before you, but not perfect. Scientists agonize over the attempt to achieve perfection. That's the kind of creatures we are. We take joy in trying to exceed our grasp, in trying to reach for something that, in the end, we have to admit, may in fact be unreachable. In other words, you may think that we operate on the same level, but you are wrong. The moment you started talking about perfection, you embraced an impossible concept, and it already lost to me. That is, of course, if you are indeed a scientist at all.
Perfection is just fundamentally inhuman. Perfection means you can't grow. Perfection means you can't overcome your flaws. Perfection means a stagnant, eternal nothing. Perfection is impossible. I find it so ironic that Perfect Cell goes by the mantle Perfect Cell, despite the fact that his entire gimmick is essentially being an evolutionary creature. Started off as this little amoeba looking motherfucker until he eventually evolves and grows and eats people and some vor hentai and a little bit of crazy shit that happens in between until he reaches the ultimate status, like actual perfection, the final state of evolution. An inherent contradiction because, well, by definition, evolution can never be perfect. Definitionally means evolution is always heading to a higher, more honed, more perfect stage. Yet Perfect Cell embodies this contradiction so perfectly. And that's what makes Cell, honestly, such a fascinating character, and why he's my favorite final villain in almost all of shonen. Final villain? What do you mean? Well, would you be surprised if I told you that I am completely certain that the Cell arc was supposed to be the end of Dragon Ball, and it just was making so much money they just had to continue it? Just like the Pain arc was supposed to be the end of Naruto, but, you know, they had to continue that as well. Well, I am firmly bought into that conspiracy theory, okay? Everyone gets a full character arc at that point. Trunks saves his timeline. Vegeta starts to care about his son. Gohan actually grows up and becomes a fighter. Goku does something selfless and sacrifices himself despite the fact that he is not going to be able to continue fighting. Gohan finally reaches a new height, and essentially the story ends with a happy ending and everyone's character arc actually kind of completed. Cell truly is a culmination of all the things we've seen so far. He was designed as an android to be the culmination of every single fighter. To defeat Cell means to surpass everything we've seen so far combined. From Goku to Vegeta to Frieza, everyone's cells came together to create a perfect being that somehow needed to be defeated. And honestly, the whole idea and major theme in all of Dragon Ball is this concept of surpassing your limits. I think that's the large primary reason why Dragon Ball touched the hearts of so many people and inspired a whole generation of anime and manga to be built literally out of its shadow. It is essentially a story of surpassing your limits, of breaking to new heights. Super Saiyan 1, ha, fucker, try Super Saiyan 4! And it just doesn't stop. The new transformations, the new forms, each one more impossible than the last, reaching the forms of 1, 2, 4, God, combinations, Ultra Instinct, they don't even make sense anymore. They don't even stack on each other anymore. But it doesn't matter, because it's about someone that's going to try so hard and do what he loves and do what's right and fight for himself as well as fighting for other people, and he will be able to break past his limits. Something that, once again, is an inherent contradiction, because you can't break a limit. That's what limits are all about. Breaking limits? What are we, 2 years old? If you broke it, then it wasn't the limit. And that's exactly the perfect thematic rivalry to someone like Perfect Cell. And that is exactly why Perfect Cell was defeated. Ultimately, the whole concept of Dragon Ball surpassing your limits is recognizing that limits are meant to be broken, because despite the fact that this is a so-called limit, that's not perfection, that's not the end. But Cell thought it was. Cell wanted to reach a stage of perfection, an inherent impossibility. And once you've already told yourself you have reached perfection, you've reached the zenith, you've reached the actual end of the road. Once you tell yourself that, you are never going to surpass another limit. If you tell yourself you're perfect, why try to improve? If you tell yourself you're perfect, why try to fix your flaws? You have no flaws. It's these two opposing mindsets that designs the entire Cell arc, and especially culminates in the final battle with Gohan actually reaching Super Saiyan 2. We were aware of Super Saiyan, this ancient mythical shit that goes on with Saiyans. I am not your average Saiyan warrior, right? Vegeta, no. Vegeta, yes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. Super Saiyan was supposed to be the limit, but limits are meant to be broken because you always have to try to improve and get better. And that's what Gohan did, and that's why Gohan won. Now, this is cute. It's a cute thematic difference between the protagonist and antagonist of this arc. And also, I think just a perfect ultimate finale for like the entire Dragon Ball Z storyline, even though, of course, things happen after that, but we will discuss that on another day. The final conclusion is that perfection is inherently an imperfect mindset, while imperfection is the perfect mindset. It's just absolutely cinema. It's beautiful. Now, you'll notice something else regarding Perfect Cell. Perfect Cell, you know, he tries to get his best to get like a difficult fight, right? He tries his best to set up the Cell games. He wants a fight against a tough opponent to prove his might and power and all that beautiful stuff, right? Why? Why? Why would you do that, Perfect Cell? You're perfect. What do you have to prove? You have to prove your perfection? If you have to prove your perfection, then you're not sure you're perfect. If you want a difficult fight, it means you're going up against someone that's basically on the same level as you. If you're going up against someone basically on the same level as you, then you're not the perfect being either. It is an inherent hypocrisy that he fully knows about, but he's just not willing to admit to himself. Perfection is a scam. It always was, and it always will be. And everyone tells you to do perfect and be perfect. And it's a toxic mentality because perfection could never actually possibly be grasped. Cell is a daunting, terrifying villain because ultimately he is what stands between you and the next level. He reminds you of your limits. He tells you that I am perfection, a wall and a line that could never possibly be broken or crossed. And the more powerful he gets, and the more of the allies he actually defeats. With Goku gone, with Android 16 gone, with 17 and 18 gone, maybe he is perfection. No one could actually stand up to him. Until a limit is actually broken, and you're taught that perfection is a lie. You think the world wants you to be perfect. You think that you want you to be perfect. You don't want to be perfect. Perfect means stagnation. Perfect means death. And perfect is false. Embrace yourself for who you are, regardless of your flaws, because it's because of your flaws that you are you. Life is about growing. Life is about learning. Life is about making the good decisions, which implies a bad decision could be made. Imperfection is why you exist, and is the beautiful part of being alive. You'll be perfect when you're dead.